The relationship between a parent and their young children is never an equal one, is it? If you think about it, parents usually expect their children to be completely open and truthful with them, but they're not always ready to be quite so open and truthful the other way around. Maybe that sounds strange, but think about it. Think about this. When parents hear odd noises coming from their child's bedroom, what do? Well, they march in and they start asking questions. What have you done? What were you thinking? What on earth made you think this was a good idea? And what are you going to do to sort this mess out? They expect a full and frank explanation. But what if the situation were reversed? Well, that's different, isn't it? Suddenly, it's not necessary or actually appropriate to be quite so full and frank in the other direction. And that's because this has to do with authority. Those are the sort of questions that somebody in authority asks of someone under their authority. So parents to the child, teacher to the pupil, police officer to the suspect. We don't expect it the other way around, do we? And yet, in our passage today, that pattern is turned upside down. Habakkuk, a man under God's authority, asks God, Lord, what are you doing? What were you thinking? Why did you think this was a good idea? And Lord, what are you going to do to sort this mess out? We're in a series looking at renewal, and last week Bally helped us to see how God can renew our story. This week we see how he can renew, and you see why it is appropriate this morning. It's not just Jen in here who's sorry. I don't think there's a person here who doesn't know sorrow. And one of the privileges of a pastor is as I look out, I can see it. And there's much I don't see, but God does. So what do followers of Jesus do with their heartache, their disappointment? Or as the Bible puts it, their laments. Habakkuk tells us two things. We should have faith, he says, but faith that wrestles and faith that waits. First of all, faith that wrestles. This book that June read a part of is a prayer, but I think you felt it, didn't you? It's a brutally honest one. Habakkuk looks at the chaos around him, and instead of pretending, look, everything's fine, he brings his questions, his anger, his heartache straight to God in prayer. And he doesn't hold back. Look at verse 2. How long, Lord, must I cry for help, but you do not listen? Or cry out to you violence, but you do not save? Why do you make me look at injustice? Why do you tolerate wrongdoing? Destruction and violence are before me. There's strife and conflict abounds. Therefore the law's paralyzed, justice never prevails. The wicked hem in the righteous, so that justice is perverted. Look, those verses were written thousands of years ago, but they could have been written today, couldn't they? Habakkuk looks at the state of his nation, Judah, and he cries out to God in frustration. And can you hear the pain in that cry? How long, Lord? He's broken by what he sees, by the violence, the injustice, the corruption, the evil all around. But what is really interesting about this, surprising perhaps, is this is a prayer of faith. Now, I think often we think the prayer of faith is untroubled. It's all right. Lord, I know you're in control. I trust you. everything's fine. Habakkuk teaches that no, actually real faith cries out, real faith wrestles, real faith turns to God even through the anguish. But here's the problem. I don't think that's our natural reaction. I think in this room, including me, there are 4 reactions that we have. This is what we do instead. First of all, avoidance. We stick our heads in the sand like ostriches while singing la, 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 la. Everything's fine. We look at something maybe shiny and new and hope to forget the evil we've seen. I've just discovered, I don't recommend this. I've just discovered on YouTube the little short videos. And the first one that I came across was a bloke showing off an iPhone case that he had made to hold real ants. I mean, really, tiny ants crawling around on the back of your phone as you make a call. My point is, we will watch anything to avoid the hard stuff. We distract ourselves, we scroll, we laugh, we move on. But the pain, the injustice, the brokenness, it's still there. And it doesn't go away. Or there's despair. When life feels unfair and the world looks broken, we find ourselves saying, oh, what's the point? Evil just seems stronger than good. Then cynicism sets in. Our prayers dry up because, frankly, do they make any difference? What's the point? Or maybe there's accusation. We start pointing fingers. We don't talk to God. We just accuse him. You should act. You should have done something about this. It's your fault. Fuming, brooding, grumbling at God. Is that you? Maybe that's you this morning. And if it is, what it'll do is it'll put distance between you and God, won't it? Or maybe we try to control him. Perhaps we think, oh, I could help God out. So we, tiny limited creatures, try to tell the God who made the universe what he should do. Here's how you could stop all the wars. Here's how you could rescue the lost. Here's how you could fix it all. We think we got it all figured out. Take a few tips from me. But we're like those ants crawling around in that iPhone case, trying to give advice to the guy holding the phone. Do you recognize yourself in any of those? I do. Avoidance, despair, accusation, control. And I think this is where, though, we can learn a lesson from Habakkuk. Don't look away, he says. Wrestle with it. Bring it to God. Cry out, how long, O Lord? Does it bother you what you see in the world around you? Does it bother you what you see in your heart at times? Then bring it to him. And this is how to express your sorrow this week. Here's how our faith can wrestle with God as we read our newspapers, as we look at our news feeds, or respond to texts. Notice it. Learn to be sensitive to how you're feeling. Don't numb yourself to the pain of the world or to your own sinfulness. The ant farm phone case video can wait. Don't compartmentalize. I'm brilliant at it. Don't do it. When something hurts, pay attention to it. Stay with it for a while. And if it offends your conscience or maybe weighs on your heart, perhaps what God wants to do is to get your attention. So be honest with him about what is bothering you, even the things that feel just too big to fix. Notice it, name it. Speak the violence, the corruption, the injustice. Speak it out loud to God. Don't hold back. Give your frustration and anger words. You know, we say it to the kids sometimes. They're all kind of frustrated. And we go, use your words. We need to do the same, don't we, with God? Honest prayer shapes our raw emotions into conversation with God. And then pray it. Make how long, Lord, your own prayer. Bring your frustration, your sorrow, your questions to God. Pray for yourself, your neighbors, your nation. Faith grows when we refuse to bury the questions deep and instead wrestle with God. And look, when that faith takes root, I think it naturally moves into action. We had an elders meeting last week. One of the elders was just sharing how he was about to walk past a homeless man just outside one of the little express supermarkets. And he felt God say to him, no, don't. Go and chat with him. And he did. He found out his name. And next time he sees him, he knows his name. I know, small act, right? But it's a start. Faith that wrestles with God, that cries, how long, Lord, isn't passive. It's looking for ways to bring mercy or stand with the vulnerable or live out God's justice in the everyday life. This is faith that feels. This is faith that is just not satisfied with the world as it is. It cries out to God. It acts. But what happens when Habakkuk does cry out? Well, here's the stunning thing. God answers him. Did you notice that? Now, he doesn't promise to always answer our questions, but here in this moment, God speaks. And what he says, frankly, is shocking. So here's our second response. We respond to sorrow with faith that waits. Faith that waits. Look at verse 5. God speaking. Look at the nations and watch. Be utterly amazed, for I'm going to do something in your days that you would not believe, even if you were told. Well, this is great, Habakkuk thinks. This is just what I wanted to hear. God is going to act. Verse 6, I'm raising up. Oh, fantastic. Who are you raising up, God? Are you raising up a king, a prophet? Maybe you're raising up the nation. Maybe you're raising up me. No, I'm raising up the Babylonians, that ruthless and impetuous people. You could just imagine, Habakkuk's going, sorry, wait, what? You're doing what? These are not the heroes he imagined. This is the worst of the worst. Okay, sure, we deserve punishment, but you're going to use them to punish us for our sin? And yet God doesn't flinch. Actually, what's interesting here is God doesn't try to soften it. You know, he doesn't say, well, Habakkuk, look, I know this is difficult, but when you get to know the Babylonians, they're great people. No, God calls evil for what it is. They are ruthless and impetuous. They're feared and dreaded. They are a law to themselves. They're intent on violence. They mock and scoff and laugh. They are guilty. Habakkuk, evil is evil. No sugarcoating, no spin. But at the same time, God is God. Even in the face of this unrestrained evil, God still remains sovereign. Now listen, that does not mean that God causes evil or becomes evil himself. Never. We've been really interested, talk to Annabelle later, we've been out on the streets talking with people. It has been striking that how some say, if there is a God, then he must be evil because he allows all this suffering. No, God hates injustice far more than we do. And yet God is God. He is so powerful, he is so wise, that he can even use ruthless nations to accomplish his purpose. without being tainted by their evil. There is nothing that escapes his control. That is the kind of God we believe in. Not a small little weak God who's going, oh, I know, I wish I could answer your prayers, but I can't. No. He is the great God. He is above all. Well, great, Andy, that's really helpful. But I'm struggling, you're thinking, to hold those two things together. Evil is evil. God is God. Let me try and explain if I can. Here's my grandson, Peter. He's 1 year old. And he's been having some jabs. So look at it from his point of view. It's just another day. His mum, Ruth, who he loves and trusts, takes him along to the doctors. And that's okay because there's lots of fun things to play with. This is good, he thinks. And then all of a sudden, his mum gets him to look at her, and while she's distracting him, a stranger sticks a needle in his arm. And he's thinking, well, what is going on? Mum, I thought you loved me. What do you mean, don't cry, it's going to be all right? You let this maniac stab me in the arm with a needle. Now, what might Peter conclude from that? Well, he might conclude that either his mum cannot keep him safe, or that she isn't safe, right? Now, of course, we know the truth. We know that his mum is very good. And it's because she wants to keep him safe that she allows him to suffer for that short time. But from his point of view, I don't get it. Can you see? And I know that seems really simplistic, doesn't it? To describe things as so big in our lives, like our sorrow and suffering. It's not a pinprick. I know that. But we do not have God's view on this. We do not know everything because we are not God. And the challenge for us is to wait and to trust he's good and all-powerful. And he is keeping his people safe, eternally safe, even though, as the Apostle Peter puts it, for a little while we may have to suffer sorrow in all kinds of trials. And that's why God wants us to have faith that waits until we have an answer to our question. And I think Habakkuk helps us to understand how to wait with faith while we're experiencing sorrow. 3 simple things. First, you hold on to what you know. Hold on to what you know. Verse 12, Lord, are you not from everlasting? My God, my Holy One, you will never die. You, Lord, have appointed them to execute judgment. You, my rock, have ordained them to punish. Your eyes are too pure to look on evil. You cannot tolerate wrongdoing. That's his response. Do you see what he's doing? When everything feels uncertain, he's nailing what he knows about God. You're my God. You are the holy God. You never die. You're the eternal God. Your eyes are pure. You cannot tolerate wrong. You are my rock. This is what I know is true, he says. We spend so much time stressing about what we don't understand. And there's plenty of stuff in the Bible I don't understand, right? Plenty. I do not understand how God works in this broken world. But there is much that I do know about him. And that's what we want to hold on to. Our God is good and powerful. Can you hold on in faith and wait, trusting that truth? No matter what is coming at you at the moment, can you hold on to that? Here's the second thing Habakkuk teaches us. Put your confusion into words. Try and be as clear as you can. Don't just say, oh, do you know what? I don't know anything anymore. No, pin down the problem. See how Habakkuk does it, verse 13. Why then do you tolerate the treacherous? Why are you silent while the wicked swallow up those more righteous than themselves? I mean, that's blunt, isn't it? I think sometimes we shy away from doing this because we think, oh, you know, that might harm my faith. That wouldn't be showing faith. No! This is showing faith. Being an ostrich is not. When we leave our questions vague, we allow doubt to seep in like some kind of slow toxin and poison our spiritual life. So name the problem. And you may not be able to do that straight away. Name the confusion. And when you do that, you stop it from spreading. And actually, more than that, you give God space to add to the little you already know. And little by little, things become clearer. And the confusion begins to evaporate. Final thing he says to us is wait with faith. Do you notice from that reading how we end with Habakkuk standing on the walls of Jerusalem, looking out? He's looking out for God. He's waiting for God. I mean, literally waiting. He's trusting God's plan, even though he doesn't understand it. He's not ignoring reality. He's not pretending everything's fine. He's alert. He's awake. He's expecting God. And do you know what? If he'd waited long enough, I don't mean a few hours or weeks or months or years, I mean centuries, and he'd stood on those walls, he would have seen something far more amazing. See, Habakkuk couldn't know it then, but God's answer wasn't just about Babylon. Centuries later, God will reveal the full weight of what he meant when he said, I'm doing something you would not believe. What was it? Well, the Apostle Peter puts it like this, Acts 2:23. As he talks to the people of Jerusalem centuries later after Jesus died, this man, Jesus, this man was handed over to you by God's deliberate plan and foreknowledge. It's not a little God. And you, with the help of wicked men, you put him to death by nailing him on the cross. Evil in that moment is seen at its most foul. As human beings like us took the darling of heaven, God's only son, mock him, beat him, spat on him. This man whose whole life was devoted to obeying his father and to doing good was hated so much that they stretched him out on a cross and put nails through his hands and lifted him up and killed him. That's evil. Evil is evil. And yet at the same time, God is God. Did you notice? He's in absolute control. Because in the moment that evil is reigning, God's plan is unfolding. Salvation's coming to the whole world, to you and to me, if we will accept it this morning. As the Son of God loved us and gave himself for us. And this is the heart of faith. And Habakkuk describes it like this. And Paul will pick it up in Romans. The righteous shall live by faith. Brothers and sisters, that's how we live. Not by what we see. What we see is, it's just the wickedness that we've seen today. No, by faith, we trust in who God is. We trust in what he's going to do, and we have confidence. So when sorrow presses in on you this week, when the news overwhelms you, when your own heart condemns you, when you just cannot see how God is working, maybe that's now. Let your faith wrestle with the confusion and wait with expectation. Can you trust God with your sorrow? With your uncertainty? With your unanswered questions? Can you believe that he is at work even when you cannot see how? This is how God renews our sorrow. Not by removing it, but by meeting us in it and walking alongside us. And that changes everything.